What's going on, guys? My name is First Generator, and say that's not my usual intro. Actually, why do I keep switching my intro up to that?
No. Can I do mine first? Because mine's long.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Hey guys, it's me, Hujix, and we're here back with another video. And today I'm going to be going into Druids with Furnace Generator. I hope you're getting that win. Hope you're getting a few kills. If you do, make sure to smash that like button. If you're not new as well, make sure to subscribe. We're just going to be doing the normal Druids. Hope you're getting a few kills. And for Furnace Generator is also going to be doing a background. He's going to be talking about his Fortnite theory. He's come up about 920 words, so yeah.
It's a long one. So let's get into the Fortnite theory. So, so yesterday, most people witnessed what people call it, the butterfly event. This raised some questions for me, and I'd like to make a theory video on this topic. Because, yeah, why not? As we know, Kevin exploded, and this sent us to an alternate dimension thing. And it's it was really weird because it was all white in that. And we couldn't do anything there, but all we could do was fly around until we reached a bright light, which turned out to be a butterfly rift thing. The first thing is, we arrived in the place we arrived in. The sounds it was making oddly sounded like
By the way, here you go.
Oh wait, give me a sec. Oddly sounded like the same noises that the rocket made, and this raises some questions because this could be the place where the visitor actually came from, right?
That's true.
Another thing is, before the event, the CEO of Epic Games, Donald Mustard, on Twitter had wrote on it, on his Twitter page, his location was set to the cube. It's not anymore. After the event, it was changed, and it now says, wait, let me just change it. It now says the in-between. This is what I want to call the theory, the in-between theory. Because I think this is what the place is going to be called, what it is called, the in-between. This is the place that we went to yesterday. And could this be, where everything started off? Could this be the everything of Fortnite? Could this be what made Fortnite? Let me just get this kill quickly.
There's someone on me. He just landed. I'm taking a choke.
Okay, I'm dead. I'm in shot from behind.
Oh, no.
Right, so yeah, so basically, I believe this isn't the last that we have seen of the in-between, and it will probably be more relevant. Oh, get down, alright. No, I'm dead. No, it'll probably be more relevant during the future. And this is what I think. The world is just a cover up for what's actually happening. So to start with the story, let's just go back to the start of the Fortnite storyline, and we can use the storyline to back up my theory and link everything together. So during the end of season 3, a meteor could be seen in the sky, a blue light which stayed there for ages. This is kind of weird because meteors are not usually blue and don't stay in the sky in the same position for weeks. This is why the meteor wasn't actually a meteor, just a glimpse into the in-between. This is backed up by the fact that there were blue lights in the in-between which looked questionably like the meteor. Moving on to actual season 4, the meteor arrived and started to open. As we said before, the meteor wasn't actually a meteor, as we found out when it opened. It was actually a transportation pod disguised to look like a lump of rock. We can tell it is definitely not a meteor, as a meteor doesn't have metal and buttons inside of it. During season 4, the visitor, which was the guy who was inside the meteor, escaped and gathered hop rocks, which was an odd rock type substance, which usually doesn't arrive when a normal meteor crashes. So the visitor escaped and gathered hop rocks, and these were collected and stored inside a rocket, which the visitor used to travel back to his home. The question is, how does a rock power a rocket? It's because it wasn't actually a rock, it was a fuel source. The rock, it was a rock, but it was like an extraterrestrial rock. It was a fuel source. Because what do you need to power rockets? Fuel. So, and the hop rocks powered the rocket. So, yes, but because I think these rocks, this fuel source isn't any fuel source, it's one which allows interdimensional travel. That is why the visitor used the hop rocks to power the rocket to allow interdimensional travel, so he could get back home to the in-between. The rocket then zoomed around the sky and created a massive rift, the thing which allows travel. It literally, you go into the rift, it sends you into the sky and you get chucked out. But this big rift, right, in the sky didn't close, as it had too much energy from these hop rocks. When the rocket went in, the rocket had too much energy, and this energy got stored in the rift, so the rift would not close. So during the season 5, the rift used the last of its energy. It got rid of all its excess energy and created the cube. And because it's used up all its energy, the rift has to close because it has no more energy, which keeps it open, which sustains it in its position. The cube then travelled around the map for ages and finally arrived at Loot Lake. The energy then transferred into the lake, and you can tell it had energy, as every time you tried to bounce on it, it would shoot you off. Also, if you shot the cube, it would zap you with purple energy, which is the same colour as the hop rocks, coincidentally, which was the energy. The hop rocks also gave you like a jump boost, and it's like what happens when you're full of energy. You can do things, you're not fatigued. This is also backing up the fact that it is energy. As well as that, the cube is made from energy, like I said, and the energy created the lightning, because lightning is a source of energy. As well as that, lightning or electricity gets absorbed by water, and the cube got absorbed by the lake. That's not just a coincidence, is it? In the trailer for season 6, the cube reformed, and because, like I've said a million times, had enough energy to lift up the middle house. This island went around the map again and collected more power from the runes. It sucked up the more energy from the runes, and finally, once it collected all the energy from the runes, ended back up at Loot Lake, which is now named Leaky. Once I arrived there and had collected all of the excess energy, let's just say like a vacuum cleaner. If you get too much in a vacuum cleaner, it will explode. So if you get too much energy in a cube, then what does it do? Explodes. Exactly. It's got too much energy, right? So it's starting to crack. It can't hold the energy. The cube started to crack.
And that's why it started spinning.
So it couldn't hold this interdimensional travel energy anymore. And yesterday, the cube started to spin. As the final crack cracked, it started to spin round. It had used all its energy, and this energy is propelling it round. So the cube couldn't hold any of this energy anymore, so that it exploded. Just like a vacuum cleaner, the bag explodes if it's got too much in it. So the cube exploded. As I mentioned before, the energy which was held was used for interdimensional travel. So this explosion covered the whole map and took all the players to an alternate dimension, but only for a certain amount of time, as there wasn't enough energy to hold all the players there forever. So this cube, full with all this interdimensional like travel energy from the hop rocks, from the rift, from like all of that, has opened up a gateway to where it all began, the in-between. So the place we got into was the in-between, and the place where I theorise the visitor lives. The place where rifts, the Meteor, and everything from the Fortnite world is built upon. This then continues onto the place where the mini rifts came from, like the ones that you went through and then it chucked up in the air. So they came out of this place.
Hold hold on a second, guys. Furnace generator is just quickly doing something. He will be back with his theory in a minute. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this theory? I think this is very true, and personally, this is actually outstanding how he's come up with this. He's come up with this. It took him about an hour to make. It's actually really good, and it's really true, to be honest. Like, all of this is actually pretty true. So yeah, he'll be back in a minute, /second. Hopefully he can get the dub, and yeah, he'll carry on with his theory in a minute.
Right, I'm back, and but I'll just read the last paragraph as I said, please, just to like recap. So the place we arrived in was the in-between, the place where the visitor lives, the place where the rift, the meteor, and everything from the Fortnite world is built upon. This continues on to the place where the mini rift came from. Like I said, they came out of this place and leaked into the Fortnite world when the big rift appeared. Like those rifts there, they came when the big rift appeared. They leaked out from the in-between into the Fortnite world, and because it closed, the big rift closed, they can't go back to where they came from, so they're stuck here forever, basically. But these rifts got leaked into the Fortnite world, and the big rift in the sky linked the in-between and the Fortnite world together. It was like a gateway into the in-between. And we know this because we saw the rift, which turns out to be a butterfly, in the in-between, and this took us back to the Fortnite island. Now, we come on to today. Today is the day where small things have started floating, like tables and things like that. This also fits the theory, as when the cube exploded, the energy made a force field around Leaky Lake. And also, some of the energy was travelled through the whole map, affecting certain things which have started to float. And we can tell that, like, the energy, there's energy in, like, the force field in Leaky Lake. I said Leaky Lake. No, in Leaky Lake, because a force field is basically just energy, right? So this also fits the theory. And this, like I said, is caught up to the time where we are now. And we do not know what the future has to hold. The only thing that we can predict is that the in-between, that wasn't the last we saw of it. There's gonna be lots more to do with this place, and it's really exciting. I love where Epic Games are taking this storyline. But remember, this is just a theory. It may not be real, but this is what I think could happen. This is what I believe, and I want to share this with you guys. So I'm gonna have to get off now, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.